Hey guys, it's 21 Times from PokédexCentral.com, and I'm going to bring you kind of an introduction to this Lost March archetype that's coming out in the Lost Thunder expansion set. So there have been so many comparisons made of this to Night March. I think it's going to be very commonly played. Honestly, I think the weekend that this drops, I conservatively estimate that at least a third of the matches you see on PTCGO will be Lost March decks. So I think it's very important that you know what this is about, that you know how to counter it. Because there are definitely some very easy ways to counter this deck that will be auto wins against this deck. And so far from what I've seen, I've watched a couple of videos. I definitely recommend go Google Lost March deck list and go watch some of the videos that are out there. I don't think at this point this is going to be a top tier #1 archetype deck list yet, but it's got the potential to get there. And you know, I could be wrong. I mean, there could be some list out there that somebody's going to find where it'll do, turn 2 going second will be just like Night March doing 180 damage. I don't think it's there yet. I think it's got potential to get there though. So, but we'll go ahead and we'll start getting into this a little bit. All right. So the Lost March attack, it does 20 times damage. This attack does 20 times the damage, 20 damage times the number of your Pokemon in the Lost Zone. And just to make sure you understand that is your Pokemon, not the total amount of Pokemon in the Lost Zone, but your Pokemon in the Lost Zone. And this excludes any Pokemon Prism Stars that go in there as well. So there are 2 Pokemon that have this attack. One is Jumpluff. It's a stage 2 and costs a single grass energy. The other is Natu. It is basic and it costs 2 colorless energy, so it needs a DC. Just a little bit of odd information on Jumpluff. This Jumpluff is only the 4th stage 2 Pokemon ever with 80 HP. The others have been Beautifly from EX Ruby and Sapphire, Loudred EX Hidden Legends, Pidgeot from PLP Series 2. So you could tell that it's been a long time since a Pokemon has had this, a stage 2 Pokemon has had this few HP. And no stage 2 Pokemon has ever had less HP than this one. And certainly it's been many, many years since anybody's been even close to Jumpluff. And you can see Natu also only has 40 HP. So they've built in some controls around this so that this attack certainly isn't on any, GX or any big basic Pokemons or anything. So what I have definitely noticed in this new meta that we're living in is that it is very, very, very important to have the Pokemon in the active position that you want on your first turn. It is extremely important to get the Pokemon that you want to start the game in the starting position. So there are a couple different Pokemon that you're going to want to use to start this. Like I said, this deck is not going to be, at least not at this point, not on November 2nd. This isn't going to be defer, go second, attack for 180 on your first turn to attack. It's not like Night March. You're going to need a turn or 2 to get set up. Now, I definitely think that if you go first, turn 3, or going second, turn 4, you could be doing 100, 120 damage, maybe more. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that this is going to be the most analyzed and tested deck in the history of the game. Somebody's going to find a really good deck list. Somebody's going to find the perfect deck list for this. And it could very well be doing, 120, 160, 180 damage, on turn 3 or turn 4. I definitely could see that happening. But it's not going to be like Night March where it hits for 180 on turn 2 and you defer every time. So I definitely think that it could include Alolan Vulpix. This is very versatile. You can grab any 2 Pokemon that you can put into the Lost Zone or you can use to help get set up. Hoppip is going to be a really good starter for Jumpluff. Spinnerack has an attack. The new Spinnerack has an attack that allows itself to put itself into the Lost Zone. That could be a good. These could easily be 4-ups. You're going to probably need to run up to 20 Pokemon to make this archetype work. You could also use Pheromosa or Tapu Koko. What I've noticed is that, a lot of times if you really need a Pokemon to start, you run a Pokemon that has free. You run 4 Pokemon that have free retreat, 4 basics that have free retreat, like Tapu Koko. If you start that one, then you have a chance to play your supporter, get a nest ball, get the Pokemon that you really want to be your starter, then in the active position, because you can attach to that Pokemon and you have free retreat on Tapu Koko or Pheromosa. Tapu Koko also might be very useful in mirror matches, and I'll discuss that later. Supporting Pokemon. So there are a number of key Pokemon that are going to be integral to this build. As I said earlier, Skiploom, it has the ability to actually switch itself with Jumpluff and then place itself in the Lost Zone. Now, I will say this, that the translation on this card is a little bit unclear. And I've got the translation right. Oops. Let me find it here real quick. And I can't get off. There we go. Okay, here's the translation. It says, once during your turn before you attack, you may search your deck for a Jumpluff and switch it with this Pokemon. Place this Pokemon and all cards attached to it into the Lost Zone. So, to me, that just on the face of it, that seems very contradictory, because it says search your deck for a Jumpluff and switch it with this Pokemon. That means you need to put Skiploom back into your deck because you switched it. But then it says place this Pokemon all cards attached to it in the Lost Zone. So I think what's probably going to happen, and what the general consensus is, seems to be that you're going to be able to, you're going to evolve Skiploom, and then you're going to activate the ability. You're going to be able to go into your deck, grab a Jumpluff, take Skiploom, and presumably Hoppip as well. Now that's another thing that's unclear. Are you going to be able to take Hoppip and Skiploom? Because that's 2 cards right there. If you're just putting Skiploom into the Lost Zone, though, that's only 1 card you're putting there. That's a pretty big difference. If Hoppip is staying on the bench so that you basically have Hoppip underneath Jumpluff, that's a big difference. If you just have Jumpluff plain old flat on the if you just have Jumpluff on the bench with nothing underneath it, then you have 2 more cards in the Lost Zone. But that's something that's unclear, and we'll have to see exactly how that comes through as the translation and how it comes through in reality as well. Trumbeak, has the ability to put itself directly into the Lost Zone. There's a little bit of a disruption along with it too, where it's like if you look at your opponent's top card, and if it's a supporter, you get to discard that. So it's got a little bit of a benefit is there as well. But mostly it's going to be just for the ability to put itself directly into the Lost Zone. There's another Pokemon, Fortress, that has an attack that puts itself into the Lost Zone, but it costs 2 metal energy and a colorless energy, so it's probably not going to be played in this archetype. So the big item coming from this is Lost Mixer, and that's this card really makes this is really going to make this archetype viable, because it's going to allow you to put 2 cards from your hand into the Lost Zone and then draw 1 card from your deck. So it's got a little bit of a perk there. You get a card too. So the big thing though is to be able to put 2 Pokemon into the Lost Zone. So that's 40 damage right there. If you can grab 2 Lost Mixers and then put 4 Pokemon in your discard, and then you put Trumbeak, you do a couple Skiplooms, all of a sudden you can see how the damage is really starting to rack up. And we'll do the math later, and you'll see that this deck can definitely hit. You'll definitely be able to put enough Pokemon into the Lost Zone where you'll be able to OHKO anything. Netball is a new Pokemon that lets you search for a basic grass Pokemon or Great Synergy and reveal it. Definitely could be very useful. Other items you're going to want to use: Ultra Ball, Choice Band, Nest Ball, Order Pad. Order Pad I think will be a 4 of in this archetype, so you can, I mean, even if you flip tails twice, that's 2 more lost mixers you would have gotten more quickly. Rescue Stretcher, going to need that to pull your Natus back out of the discard. So, Great Ball as well. Great Ball is going to be great because all you need is a Pokemon. You don't care what Pokemon it is. All you need is a Pokemon to be able to throw it into the Lost Zone with the Lost Mixer. Supporters in Stadium, you've probably seen Professor Elm's lectures coming out now. This is a great card. Really, maybe the best card in the expansion set. Best card in the set. You search your deck for up to 3 Pokemon with 60 HP or less, reveal them, put them into your hand. This is great because you can also grab Skip Bloom with this. You can grab 2 Natus and a Skip Bloom and you're off to the races. So, really great card. And I mean, not just for Lost Zone. This is going to be a great card for many archetypes. Zoroark now can put 3 Zoruas down on the bench. This is going to be great. It's going to be like I said, this could possibly be the best card in the set. Apricorn Maker, you'll probably see this as well, because again, you can go grab a net ball and go get your energy, and then you can go get, whatever else you might want. So definitely worth, playing Apricorn Maker, at least as a 2 of in this. The Stadium of Choice, when I put this together, I figured it would probably be Shrine. I'm starting to think, though, that it might be Ultra Space. Ultra Space might be your Stadium of Choice because that lets you go get an Ultra Beast. And if you have 4 Pheromosa, there you go. Plus, if you're running Grass Energy, you could potentially use Pheromosa to clean up at the end of the game. You probably won't need to, but that's one thing that just kind of hit me. And it just hit me just a few minutes ago, actually. It just occurred to me. And that's why I didn't even get it built into these slides. But so, I mean, like I said, you'll be able to do enough damage that you won't necessarily need Shrine. Ultra Space might be the better way to go. Other potential cards: Dunsparce, no. Elm is probably better than Dunsparce. Shaman, Shining Legends, maybe. Not even for the attack, not even for its revenge attack, but just for the drawing 6 cards at the beginning, could potentially be a good starter. Fairy Ninetales GX could see this because if you play it down, you can go grab 2 Lost Mixers. Oranguru, Zebstrika, definitely could see some play in this, especially Zebstrika, since you're gonna only have a few cards in your hand because you're gonna be throwing Pokemon into the Lost Zone. I could easily see Zebstrika being the preference over Oranguru. But like I said, again, also because you're probably not going to have a full hand, Oranguru might work for you. Tapu Lele GX, I don't know that you're going to play Tapu Lele in this archetype. I mean, I'm sure some people probably will, and like I said, absolutely, if you don't use Ultra Space, no reason, really not much of a reason not to play Tapu Lele. So at least 1 copy, to help with your consistency. Ditto Prism, definitely could use Ditto Prism. This card, because you don't know it. It looks like it's going to be not on the first turn when it's played, but on the subsequent turn after it's played. You'll be able to put any Stage 1 Pokemon onto this, so it functions as an extra hop-up, basically, for you. So, Mad Cargo, I could see this getting played in here. Machoke, GRI, I could see this being a tech in as well, because as you'll see in a minute when I get into the weaknesses of this deck, Tapu Koko is pretty much going to annihilate this deck. And then Grovyle and Shiinotic. These both have the ability to go grab a Pokemon once per turn. So, you could potentially, if you're looking for maybe an off kind of tech into this, might be Sceptile. Maybe you can use Sceptile. In this, I don't think so, but definitely consider Grovyle and Shiinotic because again, they let you just go grab a Pokemon. So, All right, so let's do the math. So skip loom and hop up. If you can execute that with all 4 of those, that would be potentially 8 cards there. Now again, I'm not 100% certain that it's going to be both skip loom and hop up, so it might only be 4 cards, but it's still, it's either, if it's either 4 or 8, that's either going to get you either 16 or 20. Even 16 is 320 damage, which is, so even if it's not hop up, it's not the end of the world, but it could make a difference in how fast this accelerates. Mixer can potentially get you 8 Pokemon in there. Trumbeak's going to get you 4 Pokemon in the Lost Zone. So it is safe to say that 20 is probably the absolute maximum number of Pokemon you'll be able to put into the Lost Zone. But obviously you don't need nearly that many. So, now here's the thing, if you're attacking like Solgaleo GX and it has a frying pan on it, then yeah, you're going to need to have 15 Pokemon in the Lost Zone. That's the absolute maximum that I can think of that you would possibly need. 15 to Oko, an opposing Pokemon. Chances are you'll be, if you're going up against, like a Buzzwole Garbodor, you're only going to need, especially if you're attacking with Natu with weakness, because Buzzwole and Garbodor are both weak to it. So, you're not going to need that many Pokemon in the discard pile to Oko them. Now, like I said, it's just how quickly will you actually be able to get 5 or 8 or 10 or 13 cards into the Lost Zone. That's going to definitely determine it's going to define how successful this archetype will be. Are you going to be able to get 10 Pokemon in the Lost Zone on turn 2, deferring and going second? Absolutely not. There is no way you'll be able to do it. Will you be able to get 2 or 4? Definitely. Let's swing around to the next turn. Maybe you can go first and it's your turn 3. How many will you be able to get in there? At that point, maybe 6 or 8. And at 6 or 8 Pokemon in the Lost Zone, that's turn 3 going first. You could be doing 120, 140, 160 damage. It is not out of the realm of possibility. Right here on November 2nd, that you could possibly get 6 or 8 Pokemon into the Lost Zone on your second turn of the game, either turn 3 or turn 4. So, this archetype can accelerate and can potentially, do some damage quickly. So there is some promise to this. How realistic is it? How consistent will you be able to do that? I don't know. And like I said, this is going to be the most experimented, the most tested, the most analyzed, the most, evaluated deck ever in the history of the game. So someone is going to find a really good deck list for this. Are they going to find, is it going to be, is it going to be able to beat, something like Necrozma, Malamar Squids, is it going to beat, good Zoroark Lycanroc builds? I don't know. But it's definitely, I can see it on November 2nd being a good archetype right now as it is. But it does have some weaknesses. As I mentioned already, Tapu Koko is going to just eliminate this. And it could very well be that, decks just start carrying 3 or 4 Tapu Koko because, great, you've got that many Tapu Koko. That means you're going to have a much better chance of starting, the Pokemon you want to start. And 2, if you have Tapu Koko, all you got to do is put a DCE on it, and 2 turns later, you are annihilating your opponent's Natus and Hoppips and such. So, Tapu Koko here, Promo Tapu Koko could be one of the biggest cards, anti Lost March cards that are out there. So Greninja GX, or Decidueye GX, I should put that on there too. Either one of those are gonna, absolutely annihilate this deck. It doesn't have a chance against something like Greninja GX. Buzzwole GX, other bench sniping Pokemon are going to absolutely just destroy this deck. And like I said, it could be slow to set up. I mean, like I said, could you absolutely get 6 or 8 Pokemon in there, on your second turn of the game, turn 3 or turn 4? Absolutely, no question about it. There's no question that you could be doing 120 or 140 or 160. How consistently will that happen? I'm not 100% certain. It could be that you only have 4 or 6, in which case you're only doing 80 or 120 on your second turn, but you're still going to be hitting for something on your second turn. So this definitely, this Lost March archetype definitely has some upside. We can see that it's not just a joke. It's not just a novelty deck. This is a real potential deck. But in videos that I've seen with it, it does have some weaknesses. It does have some limitations. But again, it looks like right now it's going to kind of be a tier 2. But again, like I said, there are going to be so many people who are evaluating this and looking at this. And here's the other thing too, is that there is not a major standard tournament for a pretty fair period of time. Let's look at, just real quick, I'm thinking, sorry, I should have had this loaded up, because this actually occurred to me a few minutes ago. There's no standard tournament coming up relatively soon. There's the special event in Chile on the 21st, but there, so you can see here that I guess I'll take that back. The international, well, it won't be standard. I guess it will be standard legal for the international Sao Paulo. It will be standard legal for the regional in Roanoke. Okay, I take it back. So we'll see. Early on, we'll see how this goes, because there are 3. Okay, so I take it back. There are 3 major standard tournaments here in the next. There aren't any standard tournaments until we get past the next expansion set. That's what I was thinking of. Okay, so I was a little mistaken there. Anyway, so that gives you a pretty decent introduction into the Lost March archetype. Let me know if you have any comments. If you agree with my weaknesses here, disagree with my weaknesses. If you see additional weaknesses, please let me know. If you see additional things that'll work really well against additional decks that might work really well against this. I definitely want to know. I'm definitely looking at, like I said, on November 2nd, you 100% absolutely need to run decks that can counter Lost March, at least on PTCGO. Because on PTCGO, this is going to be the most common archetype you come across. Like I said, I conservatively estimate that it will be 1 out of 3 decks you play. It's not going to cost anything to run this deck. It's going to cost very, very little. I mean, this is going to be like a $10 deck IRL. I mean, it's going to cost nothing. So it's going to be very common, and people are going to want to play with it. They're going to want to experiment with it. I mean, they're going to spend a lot of time with it, because it definitely has the potential of being the next Night March. It definitely has the potential to be really good. So that's just my introduction to it. Let me know what you think. Definitely looking for your feedback and your theory on this as well. Thanks very much for watching.